Dear children of light, I am Elunaris from the Pleiades, messenger of the higher council of the brightest stars in this galaxy. Through this sacred communication, I share words of profound tenderness and spiritual renewal. Our Pleiadian consciousness envelops you at this moment with infinite affection. Recognizing the exceptional bravery demonstrated in walking the path of inner awakening during this time of grand planetary transformations, we know the trials faced, the present uncertainties, the moments when fear seems to overshadow the inner light charged with such purity and grandeur. In these times of global change, we observe how various receptive souls absorb not only their own anxieties but also the dense vibrations of the human collective. You, awakened cosmic seeds, often feel overwhelmed by emotional waves that are completely misunderstood, realizing that something much greater is happening beyond the reach of the physical senses. This intense sensitivity does not represent weakness, beloved ones, but rather the mirror of your highly refined divine nature. They came to Earth precisely because they possess this extraordinary ability to feel, modify, and transmute heavy energies into high frequencies of love and deep understanding. The feeling of isolation experienced arises because their souls remember dimensions where unconditional love constituted the only known reality. In those higher planes of existence, fear simply did not exist as an active force, while harmony flowed naturally among all conscious beings. Now incarnated in this three-dimensional reality, they encounter intense contrasts that may seem almost unbearable for their sensitive nature. We perfectly understand this adaptive difficulty and wish to offer practical guidance to navigate these challenges with greater serenity and confidence in their own inner strength developed through the ages. The first fundamental truth that needs to be deeply integrated into consciousness is that you are never truly alone on this earthly journey. Each loving thought cultivated, each compassionate moment expressed, each time you choose light over darkness, resonates through all dimensions, strengthening the cosmic network of awakened consciousnesses working tirelessly for planetary elevation. We, of the High Council of the Pleiades, along with countless benevolent civilizations from across the galaxy, follow each step of this journey with growing admiration, offering constant energetic support even when you do not perceive our subtle yet powerful presence around you. When fear tries to infiltrate the mind, remember that this emotion is merely a temporary illusion created by the apparent separation from the universal divine source. In the broader cosmic reality, you are perfect extensions of the universal creator, endowed with all the divine attributes necessary to transcend any challenge presented by earthly life. Fear completely loses its power when you consciously reconnect with this eternal truth, remembering that you are infinite beings temporarily experiencing a human adventure limited only by the beliefs you choose as real. This reconnection represents the first fundamental step toward complete and lasting spiritual liberation. To strengthen this connection with the inner divinity, we recommend establishing regular moments of contemplative silence, diving into the depths of one's own conscious being. Don't worry if, initially, the mind seems agitated or full of scattered thoughts. This is completely natural for consciousnesses that have spent so much time focused on the external world of appearances. Simply begin by observing the breath, feeling how the air gently enters and exits the lungs, recognizing in this natural rhythm the constant presence of the divine life force, sustaining you at every moment of earthly existence. Gradually, as you become familiar with this inner space of absolute peace, you can begin to dialogue directly with the sacred presence dwelling in your pure hearts. They don't need to use elaborate words or special formulas. The divine source perfectly understands the language of the sincere and open heart. Simply open yourselves with humility and love, sharing fears, hopes, doubts, and the deepest aspirations held in the soul. Allow this loving presence to envelop you completely, dissolving any sense of separation or abandonment carried for so long in hearts wounded by challenging earthly experiences. In the depths of this sacred silence, you will often receive insights, guidance, and revelations that completely transform your perspective on the challenges of everyday life. Divine wisdom manifests in many different ways, sometimes as a soft yet crystal clear inner voice, other times as instantaneous knowledge arising from nowhere, or even as significant synchronicities appearing in your path in the days following deep meditation. Learn to trust these subtle communications, for they represent the natural language through which your higher soul communicates with the limited human personality. One of the greatest possible transformations is the gradual shift from a fear-based mindset to a perspective grounded in genuine unconditional love. This does not mean ignoring the real challenges that exist in the world, but rather approaching them from an inner center, so solid and loving that no external circumstance can destabilize the peace cultivated through consistent and dedicated spiritual practice. When they live from this sacred center, they become natural beacons of hope and inspiration for everyone crossing their evolutionary path. Observe how this inner transformation reflects in all aspects of your daily lives and interpersonal relationships. Relationships that previously generated anxiety begin to flow with greater natural harmony. Situations that provoke excessive worry begin to be seen as opportunities for growth and valuable learning. Apparently insurmountable challenges reveal creative solutions when approached from this new, expanded, and enlightened consciousness. Everything happens naturally when you allow the inner divine wisdom to guide choices and reactions, instead of reacting automatically from the conditioned patterns of the limiting past. It is essential to understand that each one has a unique and irreplaceable contribution to the planetary ascension process occurring in this extraordinary and unprecedented historical moment. Do not underestimate the transformative power of a single awakened consciousness, living authentically from pure love. Each elevated thought cultivated, each gentle word spoken, each compassionate gesture expressed, creates waves of positive influence, expanding far beyond the imaginable, touching and inspiring countless other souls to awaken to their own inherent divine nature. This understanding should fill your hearts with renewed purpose and determination. The world is undergoing a deep purification, in which everything not aligned with love is being brought to the surface to be healed and completely transmuted. This process may seem chaotic or frightening when observed only through the limited perspective of the human mind, but, seen from the broader view of the soul, it reveals itself as an extraordinary opportunity for the collective liberation from outdated patterns that have kept humanity trapped in cycles of suffering for millennia. You are here precisely to be conscious agents of this transformation, anchoring higher frequencies of love and wisdom, facilitating this transition to a new era of lasting peace and planetary harmony. Always remember that you are much more powerful than any external circumstance might suggest or make you believe. The divine force flowing through you is the same one that created galaxies, stars, and planets throughout the universal creation. This force knows no limitations, recognizes no impossibilities, and does not bow before apparent or temporary obstacles. When they consciously align with this force through prayer, meditation, and loving intention, they become channels through which natural miracles can manifest, bringing healing, abundance, and harmonious solutions to situations that previously seemed impossible to resolve. The journey of spiritual awakening is not always easy, especially for sensitive souls intensely feeling both the pain and the joy of the surrounding world. There will be moments of doubt, periods of spiritual fatigue, phases when the inner light seems to dim temporarily. In these moments, be especially gentle with yourselves, recognizing that even the greatest spiritual masters have gone through similar phases of purification and energetic integration. These experiences are not signs of failure, but rather indications of delving deeper and deeper into the truth of who you really are as divine beings incarnate. Cultivate loving patience with yourselves throughout this transformative and purifying process of old limitations. Genuine spiritual transformation happens in layers, like the gradual unfolding of a flower needing time to fully reveal its inherent natural beauty. Do not compare yourselves with others who seem to progress more quickly. Each soul has its own perfect pace of development, determined by the infinite wisdom governing all universal cosmic evolution. Trust that you are exactly where you need to be at this moment, experiencing exactly the necessary experiences for your unique and personalized growth and awakening. When you feel the weight of the world on your compassionate hearts, when the news of the planet seems especially bleak, when the collective pain of humanity threatens to overwhelm your developed natural sensitivity, remember to return to the sacred sanctuary existing at the center of your inner being. In this inner space of absolute peace, you can reconnect with the broader perspective that your soul constantly maintains, seeing beyond temporary appearances to perceive the greater movement of spiritual evolution, driving all earthly experiences toward greater love, wisdom, and conscious unity. From this elevated and enlightened perspective, They understand that even the seemingly most challenging events serve greater purposes in the carefully orchestrated divine plan of planetary evolution. They do not need to intellectually understand all the details of this grand plan. Simply trust that an infinitely wise and loving intelligence is orchestrating everything for the greater good of all sentient beings. This deep trust in the fundamental benevolence of the universe is one of the most important qualities to develop, as it frees you from the need to control or worry excessively about specific predetermined outcomes. Instead of focusing on what is wrong in the world, direct your attention to all the manifestations of love, beauty, goodness, and wisdom constantly existing around you, waiting for recognition. Observe the spontaneous generosity of strangers, the loving dedication of parents caring for their children, the silent majesty of nature continuously renewing itself, the moments of genuine connection between human beings transcending all superficial differences. By nourishing their consciousness with these positive perceptions, they gradually reprogram their minds to recognize and attract more and more harmonious, joyful, and elevated experiences. This practice of intentionally focusing on the good is not a way to deny the existing real problems, but rather a way to strengthen your ability to be part of the solution instead of becoming just another victim of the surrounding problems. When they constantly radiate frequencies of love, gratitude, and renewed hope, they automatically elevate the vibration of all the environments they pass through, silently but powerfully contributing to the healing and transformation of the world around them through their conscious and loving presence. Through this sacred channeling, I also wish to convey a specific message about forgiveness, both of yourselves and of other beings. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful spiritual tools available for releasing negative energy patterns that keep you trapped in repetitive cycles of pain and unnecessary limitation. When you truly forgive, you are not being condescending toward inappropriate behaviors or denying the validity of legitimate hurt feelings. Instead, they are choosing to release their vital energy from the shackles of the past so that it can flow freely toward the creation of more positive experiences in the present and near future. Authentic and lasting forgiveness always begins with the understanding that all beings, including yourselves, are doing the best they can from the level of consciousness they possess at that specific moment. This does not justify harmful actions committed, but it offers a more compassionate perspective, facilitating the emotional release necessary for genuine and complete healing. When they manage to see others as evolving souls, each dealing with their own fears and personal limitations, it becomes easier to release resentments and hurts that only poison their own hearts without benefiting anyone involved in the conflicting situation. Self-forgiveness is often even more challenging than forgiving others, especially for sensitive souls who tend to be unnecessarily critical of themselves. Remember that you are eternal beings experiencing learning through a temporary human form. It is natural and expected that you will make mistakes. During this process of discovery and continuous growth, each mistake is, in reality, a valuable opportunity for growth and the development of greater wisdom and genuine compassion. Treat yourselves with the same loving kindness offered to a dear child, learning something new and not yet fully mastering their developing skills. The energy of forgiveness possesses an immense transformative power, extending far beyond the person who sincerely forgives. When they genuinely release old hurts and stored resentments, they create energetic space for new positive possibilities to naturally manifest in their lives. Relationships that seem impossible to heal can suddenly find unexpected harmonious resolution. Opportunities blocked by negative emotional patterns can open naturally when least expected. Creativity repressed by guilt or anger can blossom again with renewed strength and constant divine inspiration. We, of the higher council of the Pleiades, observe with infinite joy each moment when an earthly soul chooses the path of forgiveness and conscious liberation from old bonds. These moments create waves of light propagating through all dimensions, inspiring countless other beings to make similar choices of spiritual elevation. You cannot imagine the profound impact that your personal decisions of healing and growth have on the entire cosmic network of consciousness, universally interconnected through divine love. As you continue to develop your ability to live from love instead of fear, you naturally begin to perceive the constant presence of spiritual guidance in your daily lives. This guidance can come through meaningful dreams, striking synchronicities, sudden intuitions, or simply as calm inner knowledge about which direction to take in specific situations presented. Learn to trust these subtle forms of communication, as they represent the natural way through which your higher souls and spiritual guides communicate with you continuously. Develop the habit of taking regular breaks during the day to tune into this ever-available and loving inner guidance. Before making important decisions, take a few deep breaths and silently ask, what would be most loving and wise in this specific situation? Then remain receptive to the emerging answers, which may come immediately or gradually reveal themselves through subsequent synchronistic events. This practice of inner consultation greatly strengthens your connection with divine wisdom and significantly reduces the anxiety associated with making important life decisions. One of the most liberating insights possible to develop is the understanding that you don't need to have all the answers or meticulously control every aspect of your lives. There is an infinite intelligence operating throughout the universe, constantly organizing events and opportunities for the greater good of everyone involved in the situations. When they align with this intelligence through trust and loving surrender, they discover that life flows much more smoothly and gracefully than when they try to force specific outcomes through excessive and exhausting mental or emotional effort. This spiritual surrender is not passivity or defeatist resignation, but rather a higher form of action arising from conscious cooperation with divine forces, instead of unnecessary resistance to them. When they operate from this elevated perspective, their actions become more effective because they are aligned with the natural flow of life rather than against it. Opportunities appear synchronistically when needed. The right people emerge at the perfect moment. Creative solutions arise when necessary, all as a natural result of being in harmony with the universal wisdom constantly operating for the benefit of all. As a messenger of the High Council of the Pleiades, I can assure you that you are living in one of the most extraordinary periods of known planetary history. The light frequencies being anchored on Earth at this moment are of an intensity and purity not experienced for thousands of Earth years. These energies are dramatically accelerating the process of spiritual awakening for all receptive beings, creating unprecedented opportunities for growth, healing, and personal and collective transformation on grand scales. Many of the difficulties observed in the current world are, in reality, symptoms of this profound transformation. Old, dense energies being purified and released to make way for higher frequencies of love and universal harmony. It's like a deep cleaning needing to happen before a new phase of evolution can fully establish itself in planetary consciousness. You, as conscious cosmic seeds, are here to facilitate this transition, being living examples of how it is possible to live from love, even amidst temporary. Do not be discouraged by external appearances that sometimes seem dark or chaotic when observed superficially. Behind all the superficial manifestations, an extraordinary spiritual revolution is taking place in the hearts and minds of millions of people across the planet Earth. Each day, more souls awaken to their inherent divine nature. More people choose compassion over harsh judgment. More individuals decide to build bridges instead of separating walls. You are part of this growing wave of elevated consciousness, fundamentally transforming earthly reality for the better. Your contribution to this global transformation happens mainly through your own inner work of dedicated and constant healing and spiritual growth. Each fear transcended, each limiting pattern transformed, each moment in which you choose love instead of defensive reaction sends positive ripples through the entire human collective consciousness. You don't need to be external activists or public leaders to make a profound and lasting impact. Simply by being authentically yourselves and living from your awakened hearts, you powerfully and positively influence everyone who comes into contact with your elevated energy. Remember to honor and care for your physical bodies as sacred temples housing your magnificent souls during this special and important incarnation. Nourish yourselves consciously, choosing foods that not only nourish the body but also support your growing and refined spiritual sensitivity. Spend time regularly in nature, allowing the ancient wisdom of the earth to calm and energetically balance you. Sleep enough so that your bodies can properly integrate the higher energies constantly received from the elevated dimensional planes. Practice some form of physical movement that brings genuine joy. whether it's walking, dancing, exercising, swimming, or any activity that makes your bodies feel alive and vibrant. Physical movement helps to process and integrate the intense emotional and spiritual energies frequently experienced as highly sensitive beings. Do not see body care as vanity or spiritual distraction, but rather as a necessary part of maintaining balance and harmony, allowing your inner light to shine with maximum clarity and intensity. As your consciousness continues to expand naturally, you may begin to notice psychic or spiritual abilities developing spontaneously. They may start feeling other people's emotions more intensely, have prophetic dreams, receive intuitive impressions about situations or people, or experience other forms of expanded perception beyond the 5 physical senses. Receive these gifts with gratitude, but also with wisdom and developed discernment, learning when and how to use these abilities in ways that serve the greater good of all. If you feel overwhelmed by your growing sensitivity, remember that you have the right and the responsibility to establish healthy and protective energetic boundaries. Visualize yourselves surrounded by a sphere of golden light, allowing only positive and loving energies to reach you, automatically filtering out any unnecessary negativity. Learn to distinguish between your own emotions and those picked up from the surrounding environment, developing the ability to consciously release energies that do not belong to you. Through this sacred message, we of the Higher Council of the Pleiades want to assure you that you are on the right path, even when you may sometimes feel lost or uncertain about the next evolutionary step. The spiritual journey is not linear. It unfolds in spirals, cycles, and layers, each phase offering new opportunities for growth and fascinating discovery. Trust in the divine process of your own evolution, knowing that each experience, even those that seem difficult or challenging, is perfectly serving the awakening of your full and unlimited consciousness. You are warriors of light disguised as ordinary human beings, carriers of ancient cosmic codes gradually activating as you become ready to incorporate increasingly higher frequencies. Your presence on Earth at this moment is not accidental. You chose to be here to actively participate in the greatest spiritual transformation this planet has ever experienced in its long evolutionary history. Each breath taken, each loving thought cultivated, each gesture of kindness expressed, contributes to this extraordinary conscious revolution happening now. In moments of feeling discouraged or questioning whether you are truly making a significant difference, remember that, from our higher dimensional perspective, we can clearly see the waves of light constantly radiating, touching and inspiring countless other souls. Even when you are not directly aware of it, your impact is real, profound, and lasting, extending through time and space in ways that your human mind cannot fully comprehend at this moment. Always keep the flame of hope burning in your compassionate hearts, for this hope is based on the absolute certainty that love always triumphs over fear, light always dissolves darkness, and truth always emerges victorious over illusion. You are witnessing and actively participating in the manifestation of this eternal victory here on Earth, helping to create the paradise on Earth that your souls have always known is possible through divine love. With infinite love and blessings from the High Council of the Pleiades, I am Elunaris, honored to have shared these sacred truths through this divine channeling. May you always feel our loving presence surrounding you, our light strengthening your courage, our wisdom illuminating your evolutionary path. You are eternally loved, eternally supported, eternally protected by the infinite grace of the universal creator who lives within each of you.